Hey, checking in on Disillusion, number one of the Shardlk series by C.J. Sansom. I think that was the name of the author. Yes, so this novel set at the time of the dissolution of the monasteries in Tudor England, where Thomas Cromwell has sent out one of his agents, Michael, I believe it is, Shardlk, a hunchback kind of lawyer commissioner, to kind of find out what the heck's gone on, because one of the actual commissioners who's gone around to kind of gather dirt and basically find reasons to shut monasteries has been murdered. And it's seen as a kind of direct blow to attempted blow at the king's authority. So he's gone to this monastery to suss out what's going on. And of course, as all good mysteries, he's found plenty of suspects. Primarily all of the kind of the senior monks at this monastery, the abbot and various monks around, Brother Gabriel, a what's probably would be now a gay guy who is the head of music and kind of taking care of this church, which has a crack in it, which if it isn't tended to, will come down on them all, which is metaphor. He and various others, a sadistic prior, a money grubbing lecherous bursar. There is a Moor. Well, I consider him a Moor. He's someone who is converted to Catholicism, who is basically the doctor, the infirmatician of the place, and who has a assistant, Alice, who is a young woman who basically this is the only job she could find. Turns out that the infirmator had an assistant before this, also female, who has turned out got murdered, her neck broken, and they've discovered her body in a pond. So that is a body number two, and then a feverish young adept. I guess adept is what is called. Has he's got a fever. He's talking, maybe talking a little too much. Someone's poisoned him, and the symptoms he shows. At first, Shrdlk thinks he's making fun of him because that's how he kind of looks when he gets excited and in the courts and is talking. And it's like, no, actually, it turns out it's the symptoms of belladonna being used on the poor guy. And at this point in the mystery, where it's chapter 22, or we're I think 60 point through, we've thrown up kind of the false thing of like, oh, is it Brother Gabriel? They found his one of his robes on top of with the sword that was used to slice off the head of the luckless king's Cromwellian commissioner. But of course, you look at immediately when that came up, it's like, okay, that's the red herring. Yeah. And it turns out it is. It indeed had been taken, and he's a very passionate guy, Brother Gabriel, but he's not a cold-blooded killer. But there are plenty of people who are maybe cold-blooded killers around the thing. He's also got, Shrdlk has a assistant, Mark, who he's trying to kind of basically rehabilitate. He'd already had like one affair with a kind of a knight's daughter, which didn't go well, and he got turfed, but he's been brought back. But he's like, I really hate what you're doing, Shrdlk. I think that, all this kind of closing the monasteries, it's like, yes, the church is corrupt, but Cromwell and Henry VIII are basically going to funnel all this to their cronies. So is it going to benefit anybody else other than these warring factions? And indeed, there's an implication that, like, yeah, you're going to shut down this monastery, not replace it. And this monastery, for all its corruption and stuff like this, was handing out alms, handing out some help to the poor, however grudgingly. It's in the middle of nowhere, and it makes all the poor people have to trudge in the middle of the freaking cold, snowy weather up to get their alms, which is like just, ugh. And, you know, if they're not having sex with each other, they're apparently trying to molest young ladies, women who work there. It's like the town hates them. So, and you know, the abbot is like, you know, this is dissolution. And when he's talking about dissolution, it's like, yeah, it's dissolution of the church, but it's like, it's dissolution. It's like we're all that stands between people and kind of hard chaos and kind of the brutality of this Tudor life, Tudor England. So it's like, it's dissolution in a lot of ways. And it's dissolution for like, it's going to kill like a lot of the people who are at this monastery. It's sort of, it's their refuge from the world, from this howling chaos, like that they did not fit in. So, you know, you have a lot of people here who you could definitely see would have motivation to want to kill the Shrdlk, the guy who got killed, who sounds like he was kind of a bully, kind of really kind of a loudmouth kind of bustling kind of bully creature. I can see that really getting someone's back up and then wanting to kill him that way. I don't know if I'm really care who it is. It is, in some ways, it's kind of cool because I've been I spent so much of this year doing Cromwell to kind of come back into this world, and to get, it does do a good job of kind of like, oh, we've got some good world views here, because while we have these monks who are very much kind of the Catholic worldview, we also have Shrdlk, who is very much of the kind of reform, the evangelical kind of Cromwellian, you know, people of the book, of the new ideology, which isn't atheism. It is very much Protestantism, what will become Protestantism. It's Lutheranism, you know, of reforming the church, of like there being no praying for the dead souls of people. It's like, you know, that's between God and these people. You know, intercessions of prayer is not going to do the work. And especially those intercessions of prayer was basically an avenue open for rich people to pay the monks to pray for them. But poor people, well, they could just stay in purgatory forever and ever and ever, or hell, or wherever. Well, probably purgatory is where we're mostly concerned with. I don't think you can get prayed out of hell. Once you're in hell, you're in hell. But all those lucrative people who are in purgatory can pay for masses and stuff like that. So I'm definitely enjoying it as sort of a return to this, and you know, that kind of a thing of viewing Cromwell very much that much more darker, and definitely saying, yeah, he was, you know, because there's a scene where there's like this Carthusian monk, Jerome, who has been racked. It's like, it seems to be incontrovertible that he'd been tortured, which Shrdlk has hard time accepting, and indeed is one of the things that really turns off Mark. It's just like, you guys are, you know, it's not good. Which in some ways, well, I guess Mark is supposed to be naive, so maybe that's fair, but it seems rather naive. It's like, it seems to have just been a part of life at this times, even though maybe it's getting more picked up again because it's because we're going to heat up into the Reformation, and then the Counter-Reformation things are going to get really nasty again. But yeah, so I'm enjoying it so far. All right. Oh, you can see my chin. How terrible. All right. More videos later.